Hey guys, Zack here, and this is my review of One Piece Season 1, Episode 2, Enter the Great Swordsman, Pirate Hunter, Reno Gorazoro, or something like that. So, the episode opens up with Kobe, with exactly where basically everybody's where they left off in the last episode. Kobe and Luffy are in their boat, they're headed to the island, they finally get there, and then they learn by circumstance that the entire town is terrified of not only Zoro, which they expected, but also of the captain, Captain Morgan, who I will reserve picturing until for a bit, because there's kind of a bit of a plot twist that I'll show later, that I'll hold off on until I talk about it. So they go to the naval base and find Zoro crucified in the courtyard, and he's about what I expected him to look like. He's got a bandana and a little t-shirt on, and he's got a steely gaze, that kind of thing. He's also a bit worse for wear because he's been outside for so long, but we'll get into that later. So as Luffy and Kobe are trying to figure out how to get him out of the prison yard, this little girl shows up with a ladder, jumps over the fence by a rope, and walks up with a pair of rice balls, which she offers to Zoro, but he says that he's not hungry. And then Captain Morgan's son, Hekapopo, or something like that, I don't know. He was annoying. I didn't care for his character at all, for reasons that will become evident very quickly. So Hekapo takes one of the rice balls that the little girl made for Zoro and eats it, only to spit it out and grind it into the dust, because it was too sweet. It was her first time making rice balls too, which is kind of sad. You don't just spit on a little girl's hopes and dreams, and this is part of the reason why I don't like him, but there's a lot more coming up. Yeah, this episode mainly serves to show how much of an evil dick the son is. And yeah, he's the son. Yeah, and he abuses his privileges as the captain's son, to the point where he just expects everybody to do what he wants. And that's not ever a reason to bully people around. If you're supposed to people are supposed to treat you with respect, not out of fear. Yeah, normally people are supposed to listen to you out of respect, not fear. So that's another problem I have with this character. And then he orders one of his marine guards to pick up the little girl and throw her out of the fence, over the fence, which is kind of messed up. And Luffy catches her, by the way. She's fine, but Luffy enters the courtyard, tries to, not yet. He does eventually try to get Zoro to join his team, but not quite yet. He talks to him about it. About how he's been looking for him to join his team, and Zoro refuses because he's a pirate hunter. That would be kind of a conflict of interest for him, personally. And so Luffy leaves and goes to the bar, and Nami is also there. She's here somehow. I don't really know how. I mean, but she does show up. And then the little girl explains how Zoro got into the predicament he's in, about how basically the son was just letting his dog do whatever it wanted. It just went through everything and just started tearing stuff up. And the little girl started smacking with a mop to try and get to stop doing that. And the son tried to threaten to have her executed, until Zoro beats him up and but the son flexes his power and says that if Zoro can survive for 30 days, that he will let that he'll let him go and forget the whole thing ever happened. Which Zoro agrees to. And then not 5 seconds later, the son walks in and reveals that he was never going to honor the agreement in the first place, and then he was just going to execute Zoro anyway. At which point, Luffy runs up to him and punches him right in the face for good reason. I mean, you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't make an agreement with somebody and then dishonor it. Just like, whatever. It doesn't mean anything to me. Avla Zed. Yeah, you don't do that. You don't. You really don't. Yeah, the son's a dick, and he goes running to his father, and the son goes running straight to his father, who we learn is also a dick. So, you know, the acorn kind of plops straight down on that tree. Yeah, the son is just, the father is just like, people need to honor me because I am the strongest and all the good stuff. And he, to the point where he even has a statue of him erected on top of the thing, which is shown in a later scene. Yeah, he's the father. Captain Morgan's very egotistical. He's probably one of the weirdest villains in this series so far. So Luffy. So upon hearing this agreement, Luffy jumps in and decides that he's going to let Zoro join his team, and they strike up a deal that if Luffy can return Zoro's swords to him, then Zoro will join up with him. And then Luffy initially goes the wrong way, but then he goes the right way, grabs on top of the tower and jumps up to the top. And meanwhile, while this is happening, Captain Morgan is whining about how Captain Morgan's son is whining about how the kid hit him and that his father didn't do anything, and that even his father never hit him. Then his father reveals why he never hit him, because he's a useless son who can't do anything right on his own. And then he turns around and clocks his son in the jaw, but not with his hand. And that's when the twist comes in. It's revealed at this point that Captain Morgan is missing an arm, has an axe for a right hand, and also has a prosthetic jaw on his lower face. And so he's kind of a cyborg, but not really. There is a cyborg in the series, to my knowledge, but he hasn't shown himself yet. He will at some point. I will show who he is and what he is and when he shows up and all that stuff. But yeah, he gets knocked. Yeah, so he beats up his son and says that anybody who shows him disloyalty should be banned and then should be executed on the spot, which is dark. But at this point, he sees Kobe running into the field, who proceeds to untie Zoro and in exchange Zoro agrees to help Luffy because the Marines are going to be after him in like 5 seconds because he's about to jump up. Because at that moment he jumps up onto the roof, breaks the statue, takes the sun and tries to find Zoro's swords. And Zoro doesn't want to be released because he's still got 10 days. But then Kobe reveals to him that the son was never going to honor his agreement, and that Zoro doesn't have to be a pirate, but he does have to help Luffy, which is a fair point. Meanwhile, Luffy is running around with Marines after him, trying to find out where his Zoro's swords are stored. And the son reveals that they're in his room, which they passed. So Luffy turns around with the son, only to get cornered by the Marines. But Luffy just uses the sun as a human shield, which is hilarious. And the son kind of deserved it, because he's been pretty much a dick this whole time. So he's just been an obnoxious asshole this entire time. So and so Luffy finds him, jumps out the window with his gum rocket, and lands in the courtyard. As the captain shows up and is attempting to fire on Kobe and Zoro, and Zoro made a promise, and I don't know who it is, but Zoro made a promise to some girl who was probably his sister. I'm not entirely sure that he would get stronger, that he wouldn't die that he would get stronger one day and wouldn't die in a place like that, like where he is. But and that's what, and he immediately has a panic because he thinks he's going to die. But until Luffy jumps in front of him, takes the bullets, and slings them all back into the army with his body, and then properly introduces himself to Zoro, and that's where the episode ends. Okay, so this is probably where our first major arc and all that stuff starts, because they're trying to overthrow basically a tyrant of a military officer, because he's terrifying the town, and which isn't something that a Marine officer is supposed to do. But he also so Luffy is trying to get rid of the evil guy, and so is Kobe, because Kobe wants to join the Marines, but not if they're going to be evil like the way they are. Not if they're going to be run by a corrupt officer, who basically does whatever he wants, and that's fine. That's a fair point. That's fine. It's okay to follow your dreams, and sometimes they won't come true. Because sometimes not everybody can achieve their dreams, because sometimes you're not intelligent, or you want to be a pilot and you can't see very well, so you're denied it, or you decide to be an artist or that kind of thing, and sometimes it doesn't always work out. And I want to point out that Kobe does eventually pursue his dream and succeed later, but we'll get into that. I kind of looked up the character, and I saw that he was in military uniform and all that good stuff. So that's why I spent a couple minutes trying to find a good picture of him at the current point at which I'm at. I did kind of spoil it for myself, kind of, sort of, not really. I'm not entirely sure how we got to that point. All I know is that it is a thing. But I do want to point out that he does eventually succeed, but not while Captain Morgan's in charge, obviously, because Captain Morgan is just evil. And also, Zoro may or may not join the pirates. I think he does, because he's kind of in the anime opening and end slate and all that stuff. So I'm assuming he's gonna join up, as well as a couple of other characters we haven't seen. But yeah, so they're just trying to stop all of this. It's completely fine. I mean, it's fine to overthrow an evil government and stuff like that. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, that's what us Americans did, like, a long time ago. We were being run by the British government because they were taxing us without any real reason why. And we decided, no, enough of that. We're starting our own government, and you can go after yourself. That's basically what we said to them. It's like, no, we're going to fight for our freedom and all that good stuff. And it worked, because to this day we are still no longer part of the British government, and that is good. Okay, but anyway, if you guys have seen this episode of One Piece, what did you think? Let's get a discussion going in the comments down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description as always. And until next time, thank you guys so much for watching this review. If you liked it, hit that like and that subscribe button. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!